Great. Okay, so we're live now on Facebook. So hello to our Facebook audience. Okay, let's get started. First of all, we're going to say hello to Guilherme in Brazil. So, hi Guilherme, how are you?
Hi, Melissa. I'm great. Thank you for having me here.
No problem. We're really excited to hear your ideas. So when you're ready, you can screen share, and we'll be here if you need us.
All right. So can we
Right.
start?
Yeah, I can see it. Fantastic. So I'll just tell the audience a little bit about you. You can see that Guilherme is going to talk about rubrics and multilingualism. And to tell you a bit about him, he is a teacher working in a school where they use translanguaging pedagogy. He works with young learners. So if you're a young learner teacher, then this is definitely for you. He works in Brazil and he's the pedagogical coordinator in his school. And he's also doing a master's degree in applied linguistics. So, Guilherme, you're busy at the moment, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, when you're ready, take it away.
All right. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. So today we're going to talk a little bit about assessment literacy in multilingual classrooms through the lens of pedagogical translanguaging. So by the end of this talk, we'll have tackled not only assessment literacy and translanguaging, but also be sharing some tasks and rubrics with you. So my context a little bit, I am from Brazil, as Melissa said. I work in a private school with bilingual learners, and we use content and language integrated learning, CLIL, so which means that we use English as a means of instruction for different subjects, right? So science, arts, history, using English as the means of instruction. And I teach young learners. So when we're talking about translanguaging pedagogy, it is very important to see that it's different from code switching. It's not saying a word in, for example, Brazilian Portuguese, my first language, in the middle of a sentence. It is a pedagogical approach, right? So pedagogical translanguaging is used so we can value students' knowledge and encourage them to use their full range of their linguistic repertoire, yes, so they can make sense of what's happening in the classroom. Is the idea that we don't have two different brains with two different languages, but we have a unitary linguistic repertoire and we need to use all of it to negotiate communication, right? So as we're talking about assessment, I like to talk about research from Segev. So he went to a first grade group of students, so very young learners, and gave them a handout with just a triangle in it. And then asked the students to complete the painting the right way. So when he said that, complete the painting in the right way, they assumed there was a right answer to it, right? So many, or most of the drawings were houses, yeah? So they used the triangle as the rooftop. But then in a different group of first grade students, he just asked the students to complete the painting. And then the students used their imagination freely. We had castles and rockets and animals that used the triangle as basis. So what we can learn from this is that if students don't feel comfortable making mistakes or taking chances, we are limiting their skills development, right? So I want to ask you if you have ever experienced these situations as students or even as teachers, and you can write in the chat box, number 1, 2, or 3, or all 3 of them, as if you have faced those situations. So number 1, you were assessed by a single multiple choice exam after a long period of study, such as a bimester or a trimester or a semester. Great. Number 2, you were sure you knew the content well, but then you got a low grade anyway. Oh, I can see a lot of chews and a lot of trees, a lot of alls. And the last one is you received a final score in an essay or a project, but you are not really sure of how the teacher arrived at that grade, right? So what we can see from this is maybe there's not much flexibility on the assessment approach from the school where you were a student, or even lack of assessment literacy, right? And as teachers, we must ask ourselves when we are planning our lessons and planning our assessment, if the types of activities and tasks used in class are aligned with the assessment tools, right? And also if the skills being developed in class are the same ones you are assessing, right? And this is specifically important in a context where we use CLIU, yes, because we're not only assessing language, but we're also assessing their knowledge about the content, right? And this can be a little bit tricky because assessment in CLIU might be hard, might be a little bit difficult to identify the sources of students' weaknesses, right? Because you're not really sure if the student had a hard time using the language or understanding the content. So I'm going to share you a task example with you. The students were learning in science lessons about mammals and the parts of their bodies and their structure. So we decided to talk about Pokemons as well, because students here in Brazil still love Pokemon. They play the app, they play the trading card games. And we realized that many Pokemons had the same characteristics of real animals, like real mammals. So they had to draw and then write the parts of the animals and the Pokemons. This is the first task. Then they had to categorize and the Pokemons using adjectives to explain how the Pokemons were. And then for their final product, for their final task, they had to create their own trading card game, right? And they loved the idea of creating their own trading card game. So in the task, we explained to them that not only they were going to create their cards, but they were going to present it to the group. And then after everybody presented, they would be able to play with it, because that was the whole point of it, wasn't it? So students really did their best to have very great cards so they could play the games and win, right? So there was a lot of motivation going on. And then for the assessment part, right? We use rubrics. So if you're not familiar with rubrics, they assess performance. So we're talking about writing or speaking. In this case, both, because they had to create the trading card and also present it to the group. They should be written in clear and accessible language, and they should be shared with learners before they perform the assessment. When they are very young learners, like this one, you won't be able to really share the rubrics with them, but you can explain what is the goal of what is the objective of the task, right? But if they're older, high schoolers, for example, not only you should share it with them first, but maybe you can even write it with your students, yes? Write it with your learners, or even ask learners to create the goals together. And they can be general or task specific. These ones were task specific, and I'll be sharing them right now. So this is the first one, and this is for the written task, yes? So as you may have noticed, this rubrics is in Brazilian Portuguese, and there's a reason for that, right? We wanted not only students to be able to identify what the table was, but also the parents, the school community, the coordination, right? And the reason for that is that many parents don't really speak English, yes, they only speak Brazilian Portuguese or indigenous language or other languages we speak here in Brazil. So we wanted them to be able to understand what the students were being assessed for, right? And also it's a very clear, nice way for the students to have feedback too. But so I am going to share with you right now again, so you are able to see the table also in English. So I have translated it to English, and this one is the oral task, okay? You can see that this one is in Portuguese. You can see that we have 5 topics, So it is genre adequacy, and here's the translation: grammar, vocabulary, fluency, and here we understand fluency as organizing ideas and the pauses you make, right? And also pronunciation. Very important that when we were assessing pronunciation, we were not thinking about a specific accent, yes? We were thinking about being able to understand the students. The teacher and the class could understand the presentation, right? So these 5 topics here, as you can see, they are divided in proficiency, good, and is still developing, because you don't want to be negative in the rubric system, right? We want them to feel that there's good feedback so they can improve, yes? And also for the parents, it's supposed to be positive. And you can see that the marks, the grading system, is at the bottom of this table. And the reason for that is that we don't want to focus too much on the grading, but on the feedback that the students and the parents, the school community will be having, right? So tell me in the chat, tell me in the comments, would you be able to do something like this? The task, or maybe the rubrics? So tell me 10, yes, I could do it easily. Down to 1, no, I can't do this. Wow, that's great. A lot of 10s and 9s. I'm very happy about that. Great. Yeah, so rubrics, as using rubrics is something that when you start tackling, as it gets easier with time. That's great. All right, a lot of 8, 9s, and 10s. That makes me very happy. So I just wanted to end this talk by saying that teachers who love teaching teach children to love learning, and we love what we do, right? Right, guys. That's why we're here and we are sharing knowledge. So thank you very much for your time. This is where you can find me on LinkedIn, and thank you.
Oh, thanks so much. I mean, I reflect what people are saying. 10. Oh, we could use this activity. People are really interested in it. So yeah, thanks. Thanks. That was great. I loved the what you've done with students. So thank you for bringing their work for us to see. We're going to invite you back in about half an hour for the Q&A. But for now we'll say goodbye, but don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Um,
See you
but
later.
now, see you soon. Now I'd like to invite Andrea Collados to join me. Hi, Andrea. You're joining from Argentina, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Great. So what city are you in? What
I'm
area?
located in Santa Fe, middle north of the country.
Oh, beautiful area. So, Guilherme talked about younger learners, and then we're going to kind of move up the ages a little bit, aren't we, Andrea?
Yes, that's right.
So I'll tell people a bit about you because your life has been really interesting. I see that you've worked in so many places. Correct me if I'm wrong. The USA, Andorra, China, Japan, Sudan, Germany, and now Argentina.
Argentina.
Wow.
Definitely.
So if you want someone to bring a global multicultural perspective to the classroom, it's definitely Andrea. And congratulations, Andrea, because I hear
Thank you.
that you were awarded the English Teacher Empowerment Scholarship by Bridge Education Group. So well done.
Thank you very much.
We're really happy to have you. So when you're ready, you can start presenting. I'll be here if you need me, and later on we'll ask for questions and invite you back as well. So yeah, when you're
Okay.
ready, Andrea.
Thank you very much. Okay, let me share the screen. Let me know if everything is fine. You can see
Looks
my
perfect.
beautiful. Thank you very much. Thanks very much, Melissa, for this wonderful presentation. Welcome, everyone. It's really lovely to see people from so many places. And it's, of course, a pleasure and an honor to be participating in this webinar. So today I will focus on a project I was working on. This project is basically focused on an approach, the PBL approach, and I was also implementing the Translanguaging method, but I will be also covering topics such as global Englishes, cultural awareness, language, and identity. So first of all, let's start with a question. This question is, what do you understand by the term global English? Just in 1 or 2 words, tell me what you think about this term. what do you understand by global English? Here we have global English worldwide. Very good. Lingua franca. Okay. Tool to communicate. That's right. General English. English is everywhere. Yes, Mohammed. English as a first language. Okay. Universal. I like it. Diversity of languages. I love that definition. The window to the world. Beautiful. There are a lot of really, really beautiful definitions. Well, basically, global English is an umbrella term, and we can say that it's related to the spread, adoption, and usage of English across the world. It includes the communication between native and non-native English speakers, and also between non-native speakers who use English as a lingua franca. It includes the examination of the economic, social, political, and cultural history and the future implications of the spread of the language. So now I would like to focus on how to approach English as a global language. And well, basically, 21st century English teachers need to fully comprehend the multifaceted nature of the language, as well as its history and future. So students should be encouraged to expand their knowledge by having access to information and technology. And additionally to that, English teachers and global educators, we should help our students to raise cultural awareness that prevents the propagation of stereotypes, transmit values, and also inspire others to open their mind and to connect globally. So as I said before, English, as you mentioned, English is the language that connects us to the rest of the world. And it's also a useful tool that helps us develop our linguistic identity and to share our cultural values and traditions across the planet. So one way of enhancing the connection between global Englishes and linguistic identities is by implementing the translanguaging method, okay? So this method is associated with the allowance of the mother tongue in the classroom so as to step into DL2. It is seen as a way to allow students to use their own language practices to make sense of the learning moment, feel heard, and learn to value their mother tongue. So to make this concept a little bit clearer, I just included this very short activity, like making their own notes from a text, graphic organizer, or during practical work. It could be done in their first language, in English, or in a mixture. So now, this is the moment for the start of the presentation, my presentation. I will be presenting this activity that is designed for a community in the north of Argentina. Maybe some of you are familiar with the Guarani community. Guarani is a dialect and a language. This is the official language in Paraguay, but it's also, it's spoken in many communities in South America. So the idea is this activity was designed for a group of secondary school students in the north of the country. They speak Spanish as their native language, but they have incorporated some terms, expressions, words in Guarani. So they are familiar with Guarani dialect. So the activity is basically conducting an interview to an elderly member of the Guarani community. Why PBL? PBL is the project-based learning approach. Well, basically because it uses material in a freer way and that can be adapted better to specific situations. And it starts from a question that arises from students and it finishes with a public presentation of the product. So here in this chart, you can see the sequence of this project. It starts with a question. For example, how important is the Guarani dialect to understand my identity? The second stage is the planning. The planning is very important. It can be time consuming, I know, but I think it's worth it. So for this activity, I thought of 1 semester. Then the third stage is basically the research. Students will be researching for authentic material, integrate reflection, critique, revising. So we thought of sample interviews, either in English or in Spanish, and they would be using Spanish 1 year English to elaborate their own interviews. And this is a clear example of translanguaging. And finally, they will produce something and they will share that. Here we have 2 sample activities. First of all, a presentation could be either in English or in Spanish or both. And or they can post on social media, maybe the interview or maybe a summary of the activity in English, Spanish, or both. So in these two last stages, we can see clear example of translanguaging and of the use of English as a global language, because students will be using their own English and they will be connecting with other students, with other people from different countries who will be using their own English. So there will be an interaction there using global Englishes. So this activity has a purpose. One of the main purpose, of course, is to raise cultural awareness. Basically, it's a foundation of communication, and it involves recognizing the nuances of individual culture and other cultures. So cross-cultural awareness helps us understand and appreciate an individual's own culture, helps us develop empathy, communication, collaboration, and creativity. It diminishes the impact of cultural bigotry, and it discourages making a quick judgment. Another purpose of this activity, the one I presented before, is basically to respect and understand the linguistic identity. Language is the most immediate and universal symbol of identity. The way we present ourselves to others is through our language, whether it is our accent or our word choice. And finally, I would like to bring up another concept. This is these two concepts have been widely criticized by linguists. For example, David Crystal is one of them. The idea of the monolingual classroom and the native speaker fallacy. And you could see that these two concepts have been proved to be wrong in the activity before that I presented to you. The first one is that in the English-only classroom it's no longer valid. L1 is no longer seen as useless or detrimental. We can plan activity with our students using their L1 and using other languages and dialects. Okay. And also the other misconception is the native speaker fallacy. In this activity, we could see that an ideal teacher is no longer a native speaker, and the teachers and the students shouldn't imitate any other person's accent. They should use their own accent. They should have their own English. So basically, there is no such thing as a single correct way to speak, teach, or learn English. That's why we should prepare our students to be exposed to a multiplicity of Englishes and variations, and to empower them to embrace their linguistic identities by implementing translanguaging and, of course, PBL, project-based learning approach. So now I have another question for you. Would your students benefit from translanguaging and PBL? Yes, no, what do you think? Of course, yes. We have some comments here. Yes. Salima, yes. Can you comment a little bit on how or what do you think? Any ideas? Many yeses. I'm very happy about that. Many yes. Amira, yes. PBL is project-based learning approach. It's based on a project. There are many stages. Students will have to work with authentic material, elaborate. They will start with a question or a problem, and then they will work on that, and they will present that. They maybe give a presentation of the community for the school, or they may share that online, for example, or they can do it on Instagram, social media. Definitely, of course. Okay, here we have a comment about some problems with xenophobia. It can happen. Project-based learning, it's inclusive? Yes. Okay. Definitely. Very good. Yes, exactly. That's the idea. The idea is to link the activities with their context, to make it meaningful for them, for their cultural background, and also to use English as a tool to connect with the rest of the world, okay? Students love project, especially students from secondary school. Well, I mean, I think this activity could be for any ages, but yes, students love working with projects. Very good. Okay, so I will share with you, this is some references, and well, thanks very much for listening, and this is my contact information.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. That was lovely. I love the project so much, and I want to go away now and read all about the Guarani language. I'm really interested to learn more.
Yes, it's a beautiful
So,
language.
I want to learn something. So, Andrea, we'll say goodbye for now, but don't go away. Come back in about 15 minutes, and we'll answer the questions that are coming in. That would be great.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So let's say hello to our third teacher joining us today, and it's Chatuska, and she's joining us from the UK. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, Andrea. I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. So we've gone from primary to secondary, and now you're going to talk about adult students. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. I'll tell the audience a little bit about you. So you work with the British Council, and over the years you've taught lots of levels, lots of age groups, online and face to face. And at the moment you are working in the UK, and you did a master's degree, and you researched inclusive practices in ESOL classrooms with refugee and migrant students. So interesting. So interesting. So are you going to talk to us today about the ESOL classroom?
Yes, about some activities I do with ESOL classes as well as with my EFL classes.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, when you're ready, you can share the screen, and then I'll come back at the end to take questions.
Okay. Thank you very much, Melissa, and hello, everybody. It's so nice to be talking to you today. So let's have a look at how we can celebrate multilingualism in our classes. So first, I'll talk to you about two activities that I do in my classes. These are discussions based on the approach, dialogic multilingual approach. So secondly, we'll look at the theory. And lastly, we look at the advantages of using this theory in our multilingual classrooms. So first, before I start, I'd like to ask you a question. So I allow my learners to use their first languages in class, especially when I do discussions. So what about you? Do you allow your learners to use their first languages during discussions in class? Tell me whether you do or not, yes or no, and why or why not. It depends on the situation. Usually no, okay. Okay, a lot of you are saying it depends, no, school policy. When necessary, yes. Yes, we have yes answers, and sometimes I do because I'm eager to listen to what they want to say. Okay, that's interesting. It makes them feel more comfortable, definitely, yes. Yes, sometimes we can say the equivalence in English. Yes, very good answer. Yes, when they find language barriers. So that's very interesting. So thank you very much for your answers in the chat, the comments. So let's move on. So the first activity I would like to present to you is a routine discussion. So this is a semi-controlled activity based on the dialogic approach. So I've simply named this the register talk because I use this when I mark the register in class. So first, you have to select a topic for freestyle discussions because we do a lot of well-planned and themed discussions in relation to our main activities in class. So choose a topic that will allow learners to speak freely. So I normally select topics that will encourage learners to share cultural information because that's my area of interest. So for example, I've tried talking about my favorite person, my family, festivals, food, and with the higher level learners, I've explored discussing ideas related to social media. So this one is optional. You can introduce a set of words and phrases that you expect the learners to use and provide an example. So you would talk about the topic yourself first, using the words that you introduce, or it's also possible to use a stronger learner to provide the example. So after that, as you read out learner names, because you're marking the register, ask each learner to talk about the topic. So I normally expect learners to say about 2 to 3 sentences. And then when one speaker finishes, involve the other learners by encouraging them to ask follow-up questions, ask them whether they agree with what the speaker has just said, and allow them to agree, disagree, and then you're developing a discussion in class. So now that you've developed the discussion, you don't have to follow the register's order. You can allow learners to talk out of their terms and most importantly, allow digression. So let the learners move on to other related topics. So when we talked about my favorite person in class, one of my learners said that he did not have a favorite person, but his favorite thing was money. So that caused a lot of debate, criticism, as you may expect. And so that led to the learners to talk about what's more important, family and friends or money. So you can scaffold the tasks by introducing the English words that the learners struggle to find. And I normally allow the use of online dictionaries and translators to use the apps that they use. So allowing them to use the digital devices in class. So what about you? Do you allow them to use online dictionaries and translators? It would be interesting to know if you do that. Oh, very good. We've got a lot of yes answers in the chat. That's really interesting to see sometimes. Okay, dictionaries, yes. Translators, not much. Paper dictionaries, yes. Depends on the level. Yes, of course, I think so too, yeah. Especially when projects are involved and group work, yes. Yes, thank you very much for your answers. So let's move on. So the most important thing for our multilingual classrooms, I think, is the allowing the use of L1. So sometimes learners like to use their first languages to clarify things to those who speak the same language in class. And also sometimes mid-sentence, they might switch to their first languages to express their ideas more effectively. And also at times, we find it difficult to find an English equivalent for the L1 word. So even incorporating an L1 word into the sentence that they construct in English is okay. So you can end the discussion by summarizing the ideas, ask the learners to mention a few interesting things they learned from the discussion to highlight the similarities and differences in their ideas, in the cultural information that they got to know, or even simply about the languages, different languages that they speak in class. Right, so the second activity is also a discussion. This is spontaneous discussions. These are learner-led, and they are also based on the dialogic approach. So for this one, I use a question or a comment of a learner to open a discussion. So in my adult class, somebody said, some people change their jobs very often. Why? And then the young learners, I overheard one learner telling the others, did you see the new football memes? So here we never know when these things would arise, but when they do, we need to grab the opportunity. So you have to consider if this would provide an opportunity for learning. Is it worth developing it into a discussion? So if you feel it does, respond to it with interest, ask a few questions from the learner, and then involve the others. So you can again encourage the other learners to question the one who asked the question. So questioning is a very important tool in dialogic approach. So learners give their opinions, they'll agree, disagree. So you can explore the idea, the topic further. So like we discussed earlier, allow digressions, let the learners move on to other related topics. So my adult group moved from talking about job satisfaction to talk about jobs they like, and then to talk about LinkedIn as an effective way of finding job adverts. And the young learner group, because they were interested in both social media and football, they talked a lot about the memes and the football clubs that they support. So you can scaffold these discussions also by introducing the English words that the learners need as the discussion happens, and also allow the use of online dictionaries and translators, and allow the use of L1, again, for clarifications, and also to express a certain idea more effectively. And also, if we cannot find an English equivalent, you can encourage the learners to use the word in L1. So like in the previous activity, you can summarize the discussion by asking the learners, so what interesting ideas did you find, or what are the new things that you learned from our discussion today? Right, so let's look at the teacher's role in these discussions. So because we use the L1 in our multilingual classrooms when we use these activities, you can write L1 translations of keywords on cards and display them on the boards or on the walls. It's important to let the learners decide. So in the first picture, you can see we've written the translations of sheep and goat into 3 languages here. So this was because the learners told me the translations would help them differentiate the meanings between the 2 words. The second one shows the result of a register talk on my family. So we wrote the words in Spanish and Arabic here, and then that encouraged learners to compare their languages. And then they compared these words with the English words as well. So not just the word, but the sounds. Yeah, sounds as well. So next one, you must be wondering now how possible it is to monitor these activities. So it's important to monitor closely. I find it easier, I find making notes easier. So I make notes under these 4 headings: the good use of language, the emergent language, and the errors that I should correct, and the key vocabulary that I introduce in the lesson. So it serves as a record of the lesson, of the discussion, and also it helps you to reflect on how the interaction happened among the learners. So correcting errors is important. You can decide if you would like to do immediate or delayed correction, but in my experience, there'd be a lot of recurrent errors, especially in relation to pronunciation and vocabulary. So providing feedback is important. So we provide feedback on language use and participation and spoken interaction, because we take the dialogic approach. And this might make you introduce guidelines and rules for future discussions as well. And finally, expect silence. So we need to give learners time to think. So don't worry if the class is silent, and also expect chaos, because there'll be disagreements in class and several learners wanting to speak at the same time. So it helps if we set up ground rules at the beginning. So we looked at 2 different kinds of discussions you can do in your classes. So tell me in the chat, which one would you like to use? Routine discussions or spontaneous discussions? Both Very interesting. Routine, yes, I think that's a very good one, especially to start using the dialogic approach. Spontaneous, yes, you can compare words from different languages. Yes, routine as a start, so I think so too. But don't be scared to use the spontaneous discussions as well. It's good to take the challenge. Yes, routine. Yeah, teaching YL. I have tried using this in YL classes as well. So I think you can try that too. Yes, it depends on the level of the students, but you can still try it. Maybe you can lower your expectations a little bit. Students might just say 1 or 2 sentences, but that's okay, I think, at the beginning. And then they'll get used to speaking by giving more details, examples. Okay, so thank you very much for your answers. And let's move on to look at the theory behind these discussions. So the dialogic multilingual approach. So what is it? So it uses dialogues, the dialogic or the spoken interaction as basis for learning. It provides opportunities for learners to listen to others, think about what they hear, or what the others say, think about their own responses, express their ideas, respect others' thinking time, and to consider different viewpoints. So you can see this, all these are very important in our multilingual classrooms. So this connects language, culture, thinking, understanding, and learning together, promotes mutual respect and non-judgmental understanding of different opinions and cultural practices, encourages critical thinking and problem solving, especially if you want to do this in more depth. So there is a very useful YouTube video by Brian Kemp on his YouTube channel on dialogic teaching. So if you're interested in it, it would be very helpful if you watch it. So the scholars associated with this approach are Bakhtin, Vygotsky, and Paulo Freire. So we also have a lot of scholars who currently talk about different aspects of dialogic teaching. So I found Amanda Snell's article, A Dialogic Approach to Exploring Culture in Community-Based Adult ESOL Classrooms, very important, especially in terms of using this approach in ESOL classes. And David Skidmore and Kyogo Murakami also has this publication, Dialogic Pedagogy, The Importance of Dialogue in Teaching and Learning, which would also be useful to you. Right, so now we're moving on to the final stage, the advantages of dialogic multilingual approach. So firstly, it uses the learner as the resource, as opposed to using the textbook. And this is especially useful when you talk about discuss topics which would bring each other's cultures, not from the textbook, but from each other. So it facilitates learning about each other's cultures, languages, through spoken interaction. And the most important thing is it facilitates translanguaging. It allows learners to use the full range of their knowledge and skills related to the languages they speak. So as translanguaging has it, learners use their full linguistic repertoire. So it promotes inclusion and diversity, helps build positive classroom relationships through collective and purposeful learning opportunities. And the most important thing for the language classroom, I think, it develops communicative competence through discussions that create genuine learning contexts. So these are the references of the resources I've referred to. So thank you very much. You can find me on LinkedIn. And also, I hope you'll celebrate the multilingualism in your classrooms. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Oh, that was really, really interesting. I used to teach ESOL and I don't anymore, but if I could, I would go back and definitely do some of those activities. Um, Deepika, I hope you're pronouncing your name wrong. Deepika said, the tangents that we go on are the favorite parts of my class. And yeah, I think we feel the same. So thank you so much. Let's invite everyone back. So, the rest of our presenters, Andrea and Guilherme, are you there? Hello. So let's go to some questions. This is my favorite part of these meetings. Anyone who has a question for any presenter, please ask it now. This is your chance. Um, well, I'll start off because I've got lots of questions. Let's think back to the first activity that we looked at. We looked at a Pokemon trading card game with a very specific, well-written rubrics from Guilherme. So everyone, do you remember that activity? Yeah, think back at that. Um, so my question is very simple. It's how did you come up with the idea? Are you a big Pokemon fan?
Thank you for your question, Melissa. Well, actually, I'm not a huge Pokemon fan. I
Okay.
grew up with Pokemon, yes, the animation and the trading card games, but I guess that a couple of years ago, because of the explosion of the Pokemon Go app, and
Uh-huh.
students started to love playing the card games. So I
Yeah.
would enter the classroom and they would be playing the trading card games, and I would have to have a moment, so I would talk to them in
Mm-hmm.
English, looking at the Pokemon card set game together with them, and they would ask me because most of these cards are in English language, right? So
Ah, right.
they would always come up to me and ask questions about it. And then
Uh-huh.
when we were in science class talking about animals, I I had a moment of epiphany. It's like, okay, let's bring those together because they
Yeah.
will love the idea. So it was a great opportunity for me to use what they love to do in the classroom
Yeah.
and also talk about the science lesson.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's brilliant. Yeah. Definitely when it comes from students, they're going to be super interested, and it's interesting to know that they're actually looking at the cards in English, maybe not knowing what they say, but still playing the game.
Exactly.
I love that they made their own cards. That's such a cool activity. I love it. There's a question about rubrics. A teacher asks, making the rubrics is quite time consuming. So the question is, do you use these same rubrics for different activities, or are they specifically for one thing?
Great. I mean, you can have both, right? This
Okay.
rubric that I shared today in this task was specific for this task, but sometimes the descriptors are kind of the same, you know. So the
Mm.
language goals are there, and I can replicate it in different rubrics. But I like to have specific rubrics for each task because I think it's
Oh,
easier for not only the students but the parents to understand what was the goal of
uh-huh.
that task, right? But you can have both. You can
Yeah.
easily have like an idea and replicate it according to your context,
Mhm.
right?
So you've got your rubric saved, and then you go on and you type a little bit different for the next activity. Like I suppose like that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you're preparing a rubric, yes, it can be time consuming, but I guess it actually makes assessment faster and easier, right? And so
Yeah.
I guess that's a
Yeah.
very important point. Okay, maybe I will have a moment where I have to sit down and write my rubrics, and then I will use it in the classroom, and I will realize that maybe I need some adjustment here and there for the next task. But as you
Yeah.
go, you are going to see that it will help you to assess students more effectively and it will make it faster. So I guess it's a win-win
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. Great. Great. Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you. Um, let's go now to a couple of questions that I saw for Andrea about the project she did to explore Guarani language with students. Um, so it's kind of related to the question I asked Guilherme. And it comes from Shanta, who's talking on Facebook, commenting, saying that she likes projects, but they are quite time consuming. Do you have any comment on that, Andrea, or any tips, or yeah, open to
Yeah.
you?
Thank you very much for the question. Yes, this is the first concern that we all teachers have with projects. They are time consuming, and also depends a lot on the context, on the school, on the group of students. Depends on many factors. But you can work with you can start with small projects. You know, a project could be something simple like note taking. You know, a small activity of 2 or 3 2 or 3 lessons. I mean, that depends on many factors, but a project could last like 2 or 3 lessons, and that's it. You know, something simple. But the important thing is that they understand it's a project and start from the students. It's not something that we give them. It's not something that comes from the books. It starts from a question, an inquiry, a concern that they have. And they can do it in English and in using their mother tongue or other languages.
Yeah,
A combination
I really
of
like
all
your
of them.
point. Yeah, I like your point, Andrea, that it should come from them. And it's the same as what Guillaume was just talked about as well. His students like Pokemon, so make a
Yes,
Pokemon
definitely.
activity. Your students are living in an area that has some interesting minority languages.
Yeah.
So of course, other teachers wouldn't choose the Guarani project, but they would choose something kind of close to
Yeah.
their culture, close to
Yeah,
them.
and another, I think, sorry to interrupt you, Melissa. Another thing
go
is
ahead.
that they would see the purpose of using English, you know, because they're not learning English from the US or the UK, and they're learning about double-decker buses, about, I don't know, the Big Ben, things that they don't see and they don't have a connection with, you know. That you're using English to talk about something that is important to them and is related to their cultural root, that is language and this linguistic dialects, you know, indigenous languages. Another thing that is very important is that there are many indigenous languages that are dying. So it's important to save them. So that's another very important thing to take into account.
Yeah, so if they're going to share these projects with other countries, other students, like online somewhere, then they're teaching other people something about where they come from. That's lovely. I really like that. Let's go to a question that has come in, got a few for Chatuska. And this is this is an interesting question. It comes from Dragana, and it says, what happens if I pick a topic that my students know little about? She said it doesn't happen to her often, but it happened once or twice and it wasn't a pleasant experience. Any advice? I guess that's with planned discussions.
Yes, yeah, I think it can happen. And so I would say start doing this activity once you feel that you got to know your learners really well. So you've got to know their tastes, interests through our planned and themed activities. So you can maybe take the same topic, change it a bit, say an idea related to the same topic, and then use it for register talk. Or sometimes what I do is just ask the learners, we're doing register chat today. What topic would you like to talk about? So then
that's good.
Things that they like to talk about.
So you call it register chat so that they know what you mean when
Because
you
it
do that.
goes
So
with
you do it.
marking the register. That's the only reason.
Yeah. So you do it every day.
Melissa, I don't meet them every day. I meet them
But
once or twice a week. So then when I meet them, I do this.
Oh, great. It sounds like good to have that as a built in as a routine. And what's the kind of, for you, the most interesting classroom discussion that's come from something spontaneous?
From spontaneous, I think it was talking about I think it was the discussion on memes and football. because
Okay.
recently there was a lot of interest in football here. So lots of memes. And so I was quite interested to see how they had, because it was a young learner group, how they had interpreted them, because I think they were mostly aimed at an adult audience, some of them. So how they were interpreting them was really interesting.
Yeah, that's always a good cultural topic to bring in, I think. Well, we're running out of time now, everyone. So yeah, I'm really sorry to say that we'll say goodbye for now, but hopefully we'll meet you again another time. Thanks, audience, for your questions and your comments. We've really enjoyed them. Thanks to Wiam and Karen in Facebook, and thanks to Joanna and Kath who are helping here in Zoom. And of course, thanks to our presenters, Guilherme, Andrea, and Chathuska. We learned loads, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.